A parable is a simple, sometimes fictional story with valuable lessons woven through it. One of the most popular, the parable of the Chinese farmer, weaves its lessons about the power of choice through a series of events in the fictional lives of a Chinese farmer, his family, and his neighbors. While his neighbors judge each event as either good, this is great good fortune, or bad, this is a most unfortunate circumstance, the Chinese farmer accepts each in the same way, exactly as it is, and without judgment. With each event, he replies, good news, bad news, who can know? The parable of the Chinese farmer focuses on intentionally choosing to accept what is in the present moment. Others, like the Chinese farmer, may judge it. We don't. Through acceptance of what is, an exact presence, we become the Chinese farmer. While others choose to judge the experience, we don't. The event or experience is what it is. It's the meaning we give it, the judgment we place on it. It's the story we tell about it, and it's the life we live from it. The main lesson of the parable of the Chinese farmer is that in the moment of an experience, we can't possibly know if it's ultimately good or bad. If in the moment of the experience we judge it as good or bad, we can't be present to what is, because judgment prevents acceptance and presence. We're not at choice about our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. We're judging the experience based on what we've predetermined is good or bad, instead of allowing it to become what it's meant to be. Why does this matter? It matters because the meaning we give each experience is the projection of our thoughts, our feelings. This is what becomes our actions. This is what we carry into the future. This is what becomes our future reality, and this comes naturally. Science has proven that by about the age of 35, nearly 95% of who we are is an automatic set of programs. This means most of how we think and feel and act is a program running us based on conditioned responses. This is where judgment lies. Judgment is your past. Don't let it become your future. The Chinese farmer didn't. Through acceptance of what is and presence in the moment, he became the observer, not the judge. He wasn't emotionally tied to the outcome. He was able to stay at peace in any situation. Good news, bad news, who can know? How do we carry these lessons into our lives? It certainly transformed mine. I loved my daddy. He was my hero. He made teaching me life lessons a priority. So often throughout my life, he would say, I want to teach you how to be safe in case I'm not there to help you. And I want to teach you how to think so you'll know what to do if I'm not there for you. I just never thought this would be while he was still alive. My dad had a type of dementia. I accepted that. By the time he received his diagnosis, I'd already been in a variety of roles of family caregiving support. It was during an event when I felt like I was really letting him down, when he taught me my most valuable life lesson. We were sitting outside together in the evening. We were on the porch. It was beautiful. It was dusk. All of a sudden, my dad jumped up and said, "Walk the dog." One of the symptoms of his diagnosis impacted his ability to communicate. Well, he grabbed the leash, fastened it to the dog, and they headed toward one of the doors that left the porch. This door led to a sloping, grassy hill, and it's dusk. There was another door at the other edge of the porch, and it led out onto a smoothly paved sidewalk. Remembering the lessons my dad had taught me about making the wisest choices to be safe, of course I tried to get him to go out this door. He resisted, thinking of all the things that could possibly go wrong, the sloping hill, it's dusk, the dog. Again, I tried to encourage him. "Daddy, Daddy, this way's safer. Let's go this way." Again, he resisted. This time, he actually pushed past me, something so not like my dad. Out they went through that door that would lead down that sloping, grassy hill at dusk. Yes, we all made it safely, but my dad was agitated, the dog was agitated, I was agitated. I was concerned for my dad's safety, and I was fearful for him in his agitation. I was definitely not the Chinese farmer. I was the Chinese farmer's neighbors judging the experience. Later, I reflected on that experience because I knew I had not handled it well. Yes, I had accepted my dad had dementia. I hadn't fully accepted it. I was still judging it based on what he'd taught me, what he'd modeled all my life. I was present, but I wasn't fully present. If I'd been fully present, I would have known my dad was already doing all he had access to. It was in that moment of reflection when massive acceptance and radical presence revealed themselves. Massive acceptance is accepting exactly what is 100% and without judgment. We don't have to like it. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to understand it. We just have to accept this is what is. Radical presence, staying absolutely, completely focused in this moment, which is actually all we really have. We're not wishing it was the way it had been. We're not fortune-telling out into the future. We're staying absolutely, completely focused in this moment. Through massive acceptance and radical presence, I let go. I let go of wanting that old familiar past, the dad who'd been teaching me how to think, how to be safe. Being fully present, I realized he didn't have access to that anymore, or to be able to make wise choices on his own. Through massive acceptance and radical presence, like the Chinese farmer, I was now able to become the observer. As the observer, I can now choose my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. Through massive acceptance and radical presence, I became the Chinese farmer. You may have heard the expression, history repeats itself. Several months after the experience with my dad, my husband Jack was diagnosed with a type of dementia. We're now in the 10th year of our journey of love together with our diagnosis. Through massive acceptance and radical presence, so very, very much is different about this experience, about our journey. The diagnosis. The diagnosis is what it is. From the very moment when Jack and I were sitting hand in hand in the doctor's office and we received our diagnosis, we chose to accept our journey. For as long as Jack had the ability to choose, he chose to accept our journey. I now journey with him as the observer, not the judge. As the observer, I'm able to stay present in the moment, moment by moment by moment. As the observer, I'm able to see the potential and possibilities in each moment. I'm able to make the wisest choices in even those most challenging moments. And yet I am able to feel such joy in even the tiniest, the simplest moments. Through massive acceptance and radical presence, I'm able to be. I'm able to experience each emotion. One of the greatest gifts, one of the very greatest gifts of massive acceptance and radical presence is I experience the emotions that match the experience, not the emotions fueled by judgment. When I was judging my dad's experiences, I was not able to be present to what is. I've learned my anger at his diagnosis was actually grief. I was able to process grief and move forward. Through massive acceptance and radical presence, I am able to stay at peace in any situation. How does this apply in the lives of others? At the age of 13, Bethany Hamilton was a rising surf star. On October 31st, 2003, she was attacked by a tiger shark and lost her left arm. Through the lens of the parable of the Chinese farmer, they would judge this as bad. This is a most unfortunate circumstance. Bethany was undaunted. She didn't judge the experience. She didn't take on the role of the victim. Through massive acceptance and radical presence, Bethany moved forward. She used what she had access to do what she loved. Did the attack change the trajectory of her life? Absolutely. It changed it in ways that it perhaps would never have become. Today, in addition to being a happily married mother of 3, Bethany is an international best-selling author, a global motivational speaker, has a movie made of her life, and now she conducts programs to help others become what she created in her brand, unstoppable. Several years after the attack, Bethany was asked how she felt. I never set out my life to have great impact or anything, but it's really beautiful to see how much good has come from what seems so awful. Bethany became the Chinese farmer. And then there's Jack Whitaker. In 2002, at the age of 55, Jack Whitaker, already a millionaire, won a nearly $315 million lottery jackpot. At the time, the largest jackpot in lottery history. What do you think those Chinese farmers' neighbors would have said? They would have judged this as good. This is great. Good fortune. By 2006, a mere 4 years after having won the largest lottery jackpot. Jack Whitaker had spent all his money. Before he passed away, his life had become filled with tragedy and turmoil. When he was asked about his downward spiral, he said, "I'm only going to be known as the lunatic who won the lottery. I'm not proud of that. I wish I'd torn that ticket up." Good news, bad news. Who can know? Staying in the place of massive acceptance and radical presence is your choice. It's actually the only place you're truly at choice. This is where you design the life you want. This is where you live the life you choose. This is what Bethany Hamilton's doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what you can be doing. The lesson my dad had for each of us is that massive acceptance and radical presence are our keys to ultimate freedom. You choose.